this is going to be a long video, and it's going to take some time for what we have to do here. But the sure you get your hand on is something like this. Anytime you're going to do any kind of automotive repair work, this is the bad boy. Now, the second thing is you want to take an inspection of all the fasteners that you're going to be removing. You want to see if they're corroded, if they're busted, if they're missing. You never know. Another mechanic could have been working on the vehicle, and you know how that goes sometimes. So what this is going to help you do is you're going to be able to saturate the fastener, the metal. You're going to saturate it, and this oil is going to creep into all the gaps where rust, dirt, and other stuff may be, releasing it. So when you get ready to take it out, it does not bust up the tread, messed up the head of the fastener. This is as important as having a wrench or the proper tool, especially when you're doing exhaust work. It's something you need. It doesn't have to be this product. I'm not trying to advertise this product to you. I don't make any money from showing you this, but I've been using this kind of product for almost 40 years, 30 years, 35 years now, since 1989, right? So once you saturate all those bolts, it's going to make it easier for you to remove. So in the video description, you're going to see more information on how to remove this whole assembly, the upper intake manifold, this lower intake manifold, the injector rail. We're going to get more into that later on today. I'm going to try to keep the camera rolling all day. If the battery stays up, if the sun does not overheat the camera, we're good to go. There's a lot of that's going to prevent us from being successful in the period that we want. But we are going to be successful at completing this assembly, put together, starting the engine, and getting successful performance from the engine, fuel economy and horsepower. So what I want to do is, when you're going to get to this point, this harness here, the best thing to do is to just push it over to this side here, because what this is going to let you do, allow you for lifting this manifold up. Now you're going to have problems down in here, because right now this engine is approximately 220,000 miles, and it's almost 24 years old, 25 years old. So that's a lot of endurance, and you're going to find a lot of stuff in there that's not normal. In the video description, like I say, a lot more information. So like I say, down here you're going to find strip fasteners. You take out the fuel injectors, the garment under the injector, the rubber or plastic might be cracked. If that's the case, air is going to leak into the engine. It's going to cause a lean condition, and this is a loss of power. So when an engine gets to high mileage, it is highly recommended, like going to the doctor for getting a checkup, that you replace all the intake gaskets. This is to secure the optimum vacuum and engine performance. That vacuum is around 17, I believe, to approximately 20 on the vacuum gauge. Now, if the vacuum gauge is lower, then you have problems. That's where you're going to have to come in to and fix the vacuum leak, and that most likely to be caused by gasket joints. Not only gasket joints and air leak you have to worry about, you have to worry about coolant leak, because that's the most detrimental thing to your engine. Even though you have antifreeze inside here, like the factory recommend, and you're doing everything the factory says, well, there's so many things to remember. You're going to forget a lot of things about your engine because you're not a mechanic. So that coolant inside the engine, after 5 to 6 years, is going to become very acidic, and it's going to start eating away at the alloy and the gaskets where the coolant system is. Like in the back here, we have the tube, the metal tube. That's a steel tube that's corroded. It has been fixed. So that's the downside of having corrosive antifreeze or antifreeze that has not been serviced or changed like the factory recommended, that antifreeze will become the most dangerous thing to your engine if you do not service it like your engine oil. Well, another thing is you don't want to put water in your cooling system. That is cancer because what that's going to do, that's going to speed up the corrosive effect inside the engine on the cast iron block, the aluminum alloy, and it's going to make the engine run hotter because you have to understand water boils at approximately 240 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas coolant, antifreeze, has a higher boiling temperature, so it's able to keep the engine much cooler. Now, here's an important thing that a lot of mechanics don't do. You see, these engines are made to last 100,000 miles by the manufacturer or the 10-year warranty. They don't want to get into this kind of work when they sell you a vehicle. So they want that vehicle to last 100,000 miles or 10 years and get you out of their face. Send you to a guy like me. Now you have this vehicle for 200,000 miles, 300,000 miles. The dealer don't want to see you anymore because they're selling new cars. They're not interested in you old customers. Remember one time when you bought a new car, you thought you were the richest guy on the block? Well, it's 24 years later. You don't look so rich anymore. So you gotta fix this bad boy because you don't got money to waste. And even if you do got money to waste, you don't waste it on better things. So once these vehicle gets to that age, you have to become experienced. You have to have experience. You can't just be a new jack and think you're gonna fix it. You have to work in shops. You have to work along with professionals, people who have experience, and they're gonna share their experience with you in the automotive industry. A lot of guys who comes out of the school are just nerds. They don't even know which way to turn a bolt off or on. Most of them end up stripping a bolt. Let me show you what happens. You see, I might call myself a professional. So this is a bolt that we remove from an aluminum alloy metal, right? And I know you can already see what's going on there. The threads from the aluminum is sitting in the thread of the bolt, which is steel. So this is what a lot of new jacks do. You strip the threads out of the bolt hole, and when it comes time for assembling this bolt back to the part, it does not hold the part together. Now, they could use silicone, they could use all kind of glue and try to glue the part back together, but when you're going down the road and the suspension is going left to right and up and down, all these things in here is feeling the torsion from the movement of the suspension. Eventually, it's going to start rattling around. So when you got a situation like this, that's more work. So this here is damaged from here. This thread came out from here. Now, what would you do in that situation? Well, a mechanic will most likely drill this out and retap it for a bigger bolt, or they could install a coil in there so you could reuse this bolt. This is a factory bolt. As you can see, it's hex, right? They have a reason why they're using this up there, but I preferably like to use these bolts with a washer, old school. So I would think this is all just marketing because this is not in any tight area where it's necessary for using this bolt. You could get away with something like this. So we're going to get away with something like this, but we're going to use a longer one so it could get down more into the casting and grab that remaining thread that's on the bottom to hold the fixture. If that don't work, like I said, I'm going to drill it oversized, retap it, and put a bigger bolt in it. So I want to get this out of the way, and obviously there's a lot of work in it. I've done the work already. You can see this is already coming out. So in this area here, see this harness? I'm going to have to move this around this spout to lift this intake manifold out. So this is already out from previously. Now here's another thing you gotta look for when you take this stuff out. Coolant, liquid, water, whatever you have in the coolant system, it's gonna start to work on this, on the inside of the hose. You're gonna see the surface here start getting corroded. It's gonna push against the hose and the clamp, and it's gonna start leaking over the years, the 20 years or 200,000 miles. So when you take this stuff out, you gotta make sure you clean this properly. If you could buy a new one, good for you. Hey, I wish I was like you, but you have to clean all this stuff up. Now you're gonna look under here. You see all this rust under here? All this is evidence of a coolant leak. So previously, I've removed this water outlet here to fix this hose that was leaking. And I didn't remove this, I just took this off and did the work. Had to replace the gasket here too. In the video description, there's a link on that. That was not easy to do because the torsion clamp was in a direction that you couldn't get the plier onto. Let me show you what the torsion clamp is like. So we had this elbow here, and there's only one way for placing this elbow. This end is longer than this end. So this end goes in here, the short end, and the long end will go down into the thermostat housing. The problem you're going to find is with this torsion clamp, it's going to be set in a location like this. So you can't get the tool down in there for clamping it for removal. You need this torsion clamp to be up here so you could get access to it. So if it's not in accessible mode or position, you're going to have a fight with that. But these are the best. Don't worry with those worm clamps. Why I say these are the best is that when you have a worm clamp really clamps down on this hose tight, like a nut and bolt. This clamp has a torsion on it, it has tension on it. So if the system is to overheat, you're going to save a lot of component because this clamp, the pressure is going to cause this clamp to like expand, and the high pressure coolant is going to blow out from the hose where it connects. Instead of bursting the hose, bursting the radiator, damaging something on the engine, this is the first thing that will give on the coolant system to release that coolant pressure, preventing damaging any of the parts. So that's why I like to use these clamps. When you go to the parts store, they're going to give you something like this. Let me bring it and show it to you. This is the famous line in all parts store. Mechanics don't really like to use this. The salesmen like to use this. Mechanics like to use this on their vehicle. We could use this on your vehicles, whatever you say go, because you're paying the price. But we use this. And another thing is, after a while, from squeezing it and it's going through a lot of endurance, you want to purchase new one at the dealer, so it maintain a tension on the hose when it needs to seal the cooling system. A lot of stuff to go over here, huh? But the most important thing is we removed this manifold 7 years ago just to address the gasket, fix any coolant leak, and air leak into the engine. We don't want air leak into the engine. This time, we're removing this manifold. So this spout right here goes to the heater core. That's inside the vehicle. That's those little holes right down there. So these holes right here, that's the plastic from the heater core. The spout comes out of there. That's plastic. Now, from what I understand, in the Nissan Pathfinder has a heater core with a metal tube, with an alloy tube instead of a plastic. I had problem with that plastic 8 years ago, and I never reused the heating on this vehicle since I'm in a tropical region. The air condition is very important. So this has been fixed. You can see I didn't really weld it because how are you going to weld rust of that gauge? It's just going to burn the material. So that's the famous JB weld, the same thing that I used to fix the keyway in the crankshaft. Remember when the pulley was rattling? Got a video on that too. You don't have time to watch my videos. Anyway, thank you for being here very much. Hope you gives me a thumb up. It's up to you. It doesn't make me any money. This is what makes me money, cash money. So this outlet, there's another one on the bottom there, right? This you could consider inlet for the heater core, and this down here, this hose right here with this clamp, that could be the outlet. And you see that outlet has a spout there, an open spout. That tube comes right back in to the thermostat housing. And it goes now, so the water comes out from the thermostat housing down there, goes into the heater core, then it comes back out in here, goes through the cooling system in the intake manifold on the heads, and then it comes out of here. So if you're going to block off these heater core hose from going into the heater, because it gets very hot in there if you're driving in the summer, because this coolant constantly circulate in that heater core. Now, when you turn on the air condition, guess what's going on? You have a boiling pot in there and an air condition running. It can't be efficient. You need to get rid of the boiling pot. And the air condition will be more cool, saving you less gas, reducing the runtime on the compressor. So that's why I eliminate that heater core. Now, when winter come back, you can put it back together. So on my old school truck that I had in 1987, which was a GMC 3500 HD, used to use it for doing roofing. On that hose that goes back there, it had a valve on it, an open and close valve. That valve will allow coolant to flow, circulate in the heater core. And then you could shut it off from inside of the vehicle to prevent coolant from circulating in the heater core. Now, when that happened, it means the driver or the operator is getting ready to turn on the air condition. Now, with the air condition on and the coolant block in the heater core hose, it's not that in the vehicle anymore, or I should say the advantage of the heat and cold is not that great anymore. You have more of a cooling effect. So now when you block this hose off here, you're going to restrict circulation for the engine. This one too here, you see how I block it off there? I just put a lug nut in there and reuse the clamp, the factory clamp, and just block it off. Well, now I got new hose to make this replacement. When you block off these hoses, you're restricting the circulation of the coolant system inside of the engine. That is why you need to route a hose from here to here. So you have a continuous circulation of coolant in these two pipes, even though the heater core is not connected to the heater. Very important. If you don't have that connected, you could risk overheating the engine. Let me go get the hose and show you what I'm talking about. So this is the hose I purchased. Actually, I purchased it on eBay because Nissan is hard to deal with them. It comes with two rubber O-ring. That is for going on this area here, right here, where it bolts up with 4 bolts against the heater core. These are the hose. That's going to replace those plug holes in the back there. But before I do so, I have to take the old hose apart and install the knock sensor you have a wire here that needs to get soldered to the factory wire. So this wire here, you need to know, is a shield cable. Inside the wire back here, there's a shield cable that shields the wire and it goes to the ground. The shield to the ground, not this wire. This wire connects to the knock sensor. Now, obviously, when you disconnect this knock sensor, this plug here is going to get destroyed. It's plastic. 20 years, there's no way this is going to outstand its period, the time that it's endure. So you're going to need a new one like this in place, and you're going to have to make the attachment of this wire. When you make this attachment, some people are very funny. They rather replace this whole harness. Where are you going to find that? The dealer don't have parts for this vehicle anymore. Their own workings. So this wire here is going to have to get soldered into that wire and shrink wrap. What else? Well, let me get set up. I'm going to leave the camera running. And at the bottom there, let's get a little more clean. That's all right. Let's try to get this clamp off. That hose right there. This here is an 8mm socket. Like I said, you always want to saturate this stuff with penetrating oil. It's great if you could save the fasteners, because then you could clean them up and reuse it. See, I like to get this clamp off completely. And the only way to do so is with some lube. And slide it off of there. So this is my favorite tool. Some people call it a thong. Some people call it a long needle nose pliers. And you see it has an angle on it. There are different varieties in them. There are some of them that made specifically for removing rubber hose. It has a claw like that. So if you get in there, used to have it all. Guess what? Got stolen. That is another thing too. When you start working in a shop, some customers they don't want you to repair the vehicle until they're able to see you do it because they don't trust you, but they're paying you to fix their vehicle. So for them to trust you, they want to see what you're doing. And in the process of them seeing what you're doing, when you turn your back, guess what they do? Gone with your screwdriver, with your pliers. That's how they pay themselves. Because people are funny. So you gotta keep an eye on your tools. Out of your tools. Sometimes they don't bring it back. The easiest word for forgiveness is I forgot. Right? Somebody tell you they forgot. You're not gonna get angry with them, even though some people do. So you can see we have coolant in here. Another thing that you need to know too, you see these factory hoses, especially on your Nissan. By the way, this is a Nissan Frontier we're working on, V22, Pathfinder, Navara, Xterra, all the same thing. Not really the same thing, but in the engine and transmission. So you see all the fatigue that's involved in removing a simple hose. Some people come to you as a mechanic, they come as a customer, I mean you're a mechanic, and they go, oh, I just want that hose changed. How much is the hose? The hose is 99 cents. How much to change the part? $99,000. Because it's the work, it's not the part. So to get these parts out is where most people don't have the skill. They just try. So you know when they're trying because they buy a new car. Every month they have to pay for it. While you're still driving, old school. Look at all that rust. See, so I have coolant in here. And you're still getting rust. What does that say? On the containers it says anti-corrosive. I need to reuse this clamp here and this one. Because remember what I told you about the worm clamp? This is like a worm clamp. But this is better than the worm clamp. Okay, so I got that hose out of there. Now it's time for us to take a cloth and get as much as the loose particle, debris, substance, whatever you want to call it, off the spout. So I got coolant dripping on the block as you see it's dripping. So I have to get in there with and sand off remaining rust. But the water, the coolant, the liquid, it's going to make it messy. The easiest way for doing this, what I'm going to do here now, is to simply just detach this pipe, take it off, and do the necessary cleaning that we have to on the spout. See, I just want to get on the bottom where you can't see the sandpaper. The sandpaper fell below. So you gotta get another piece of sandpaper. better to go live to make all these videos, edit them. For publishing, it's just a lot of time, and you're not even getting the views. That's why I figure I might as well go live. So that's another thing you gotta look out for. Your glove is gonna become broken. Don't throw this one away. Just put another one right over this one and get to work. It's better that way. Well, every time I go off the camera, when I go quiet, it's because I have to go into the toolbox, get a tool, get the sandpaper. So this is where you're gonna save all the money in owning the vehicle. Does not matter the price of the vehicle. Once you can perform this duty, you are a boss of that vehicle. But remember, you need professionals, an experienced mechanic to show you their work. That's where you get experience, reduce the tendency of mistakes, comebacks, returns. It's sad when you have to give back the customer the money for working on their vehicle all day, all week, all month. Here's another thing about mechanics. If you go to a mechanic shop and you see there's a lot of cars to be fixed there, run out of that shop. That is, don't really know what they're doing because there's a lot of broken cars or cars to be fixed on their lot. So you need to go to a guy who's got hot rod in his shop, customize automotive work, someone who's beyond a mechanic, someone who's a fabricator. Those are the people who you want working on your car. Forget Jiffy Lube, AutoZone, Pet Boys, parking lot mechanic. You need to find people who love what they do. Get the best deal from them. And they're great friends. Now, I've got to place this knock sensor in, and I'm waiting for it to recharge the battery, and I can plug that solder iron knock sensor back in location with this wire. Because I want the solar to really build up. I could do it now, but it's not necessary to do everything now. Now, gotta think. That's a big part too. If you don't think what you're doing, you'll be lost. Bolts, lost your nuts, everything. So the only thing I do now is put these hoses in. Before I do so, I'm gonna put some silicone on the spout to seal the coolant from causing that corrosion. See, when you have that hose connected and the clamp tight, but when the spout, see how the spout goes in here? Over time, you're gonna get seepage in the hose between the spout and the hose itself, and that corrosion there is what's gonna cause a leak and rotten the fixture. Okay, now we need to take an inspection of this bolt here. I might need to pass the wire brush on it. something like this. Clean out as best you can. Now they sell special tools that you could just put on here, like a tap, or run it down on the threads just to clear it out. That's a useful tool to get. There's also another tap you could send down in the holes where the bolts go and clear out in there too. What I want to clean in here is this right spout. Around this spout, sometimes you get the aluminum corrosiveness. You have to scrape it off. It's a scale, an aluminum scale, corrosion. So once you get out of there, once you clean up those spouts, this is what I recommend that you use on all the threads for the nuts in the bolt. It's going to seal the threads. Moisture is not going to get between the two threads for corroding them, causing them to bust when you remove them. You also want to use this between the hoses when you're installing the hose. You want to apply it on the spout and on the inside of the hose. So when you insert the hose, this is going to seal that area. So the coolant, moisture do not come back and rotten the spout as quickly as it did. Teflon paste, very important to get. Sometimes you can use the silicone, the clear silicone, the blue silicone. You can use the same thing. You just want to seal the threads. You just want to protect them. So I'm getting the solder iron ready. It's this wire right here. I'm going to plug this in, let it heat up, get the iron hot. Then I have to get the current wires. this wire here too much resistance and short like that, same amount I'm going to remove from that plug. Now, you don't want to do what I'm doing here because this stuff is just going to fly in there. I'm just doing it. I can. So once we shave this back here, now you got wire strippers, like I'm saying. You got proper tools for doing this. I'm too old school. That's why I do it this way. You know, when you get old doing something, hard to change your ways. That's for bad people with bad ways. So, see right now, I gotta move this camera so I can get to do my work. So this is the wire here. Take it from here. So you see that there? It's to seal this pin so moisture don't get in from the back of the wire to corrode it. This thing is very sealed when it's in its connection, and you have to duplicate the same thing, and you're going to make your modification. So I'm just going to get this wire out a little. So you can see where shield circuits start. So that's the shield circuit start right there. You see this thickness here? Now I hope we don't have a stainless up. The stainless steel wire, guys. You know what this means? It's going to be difficult to solder. I gotta get a shrink wrap. That's the shrink wrap. It's just a sleeve that goes in on the wire. So when you finally make your connection, you'll be able to, I'll show you. Just need a little piece like that. And as far as this plug, I just want to slide these two wires in the brush, entangle with each other. See, this here is so difficult. When you're watching someone on the table sitting on their behind doing this, it is so easy for them. It's like a charm. But when you got to bend over car, engine compartment, then you have to set up the area just to make this little connection here. A lot of people look at it, oh, that's nothing to do. You know, Now, when you put them to do it in the car like I'm doing it here, they just crap all over themselves, bust up their knuckles, run to the hospital. It's a laughing joke when you see what they do. So now for that wire to bond, solder the wire to bond to that wire, I got to use something like this. I bought this from Radio Shack about 21 years ago, and I still have a lot of it left. Look at it. You like it? It looks like maple. Well, it's not maple. It's dielectric grease. You got to put there. It helps the solder stick to all the wires. So here's the hard part, difficult part, is holding the solder wire here while you're bending over the vehicle and putting this wire onto it. Frying eggs, guys. See, it's oh, I pray it holds. I can't hold it long here, you know, because you know what's gonna happen. The shrink wrap. It's gonna shrink up on us like it's doing right now. You see there? See how it's shrinking? That's not a problem. I get the solder wire in a safe solder. So when we look at our connection, we have a nice tight connection here. This is perfect, beautiful. Now we got to get the shrink wrap over here, and look what happened. It shrinked on us. So I'm going to use 3 hands here. You're seeing 2 right now, right? The other hand is holding up my body as I'm leaned over this engine compartment. Isn't that amazing? 3 hands. You know what the 3rd hand is? My brain. Okay, so this is what I didn't want, but happens most of the time. They're gonna do. You see the way how I'm cutting it? The razor blade could cut my fingers. There's a lot of art in this work. More art than the Egyptians. What this lighter is going to do, it's going to shrink. I think there's water in it. Let me go get a better one. This is the new oxygen sensor. I just want to put in location with the bolt. This get torques to, I think, 15 foot-pounds. Now, I wouldn't put any sealer on the tread of this bolt or anything. I would just install it with lube on the thread, like some oil, and torque it down to the factory specification. Now, this is a Nissan Frontier D22 vg33e engine, and the torque specification for that bolt is between 15 to 20 foot-pounds, according to the factory manual. If not, I will place a document from the manual specifying the torque specification. And when you're purchasing the sensor, it is very important that you owns test the pin. Here's a document to show you how to ohms test the pin. It says to put one probe of the voltmeter on the sensor and another probe on the ground, and you should get approximately 500 ohms to 620 ohms. Between that is a good sensor. You could only conduct the sensor attached to the block. If you should conduct the test with the sensor in the parts store, you could use the voltmeter by testing both pin, attaching it to both pin inside of the sensor, get the same ohms resistance reading. What I'm trying to do, I'm waiting for here, is this lighter. For it to work, so I can get the shrink wrap to seal what we just did there. So that's perfect. Now I have to place this wire back in so it's protected. I believe the factory recommend you replace this wire should it become damaged like what we're doing here. Good luck if you can find it. So you see, you got to remember where your connection was originally. You don't want to put this wire on this side. I don't know, maybe you can, but I wouldn't do that. You want to duplicate the factory method. So we're going to plug that in there, lay this wire back. Let's torque that bolt. This is a 12mm bolt. Excellent. So now we have to get a utility blade and scrape the surface of all these ports. Just clean it out. You got this stuff in there, nothing's going to go in there. You can put some in there where coolant goes. It's not really necessary, but it's best to do so. The best thing is when you're scraping the surface, you want to scrape away from the port. Understand? So nothing falls in there. One thing about those gloves, you're gonna have to take them off every now and then because your hand are gonna get like this, like granny, you know, like when it's all wrinkled up. So you're gonna need to use when you have dirty parts. So this is how you want to clean these ports. See, they say you want to push it down, 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 down. This, you want to pull to the side. You just want to work away, push everything away from the port. Now you got tools you can use for cleaning this up. You can use a Scotch-Brite pad on a whiz wheel on a grinder, air grinder, and clean this up quick. But you know what that does? It polished some of the aluminum on the surface, leaving a uneven contour. And that's where you're gonna get air leaks from. That's why I like to always go about this using the hand method. Power tools can sometimes become destructive. So when reassembling, you want to make sure you're using your hands for torquing, fastening, tightening bolts and nuts. When you're using the tool, it's more likely that you're going to strip those nuts and bolts, damaging it. And also remember, that tool has a torque to it that could swing your knuckle, crash into something, bust it. So you have to be good at that. Now, we're done here with the razor blade. We have to get another set of cleaner, cleaning this down because there's still oil on the surface and the adhesive will not stick to that oil. So we have to degrease the surface. Now to degrease the surface, I like to use this brake part cleaner. Let's just wash any oil that may be on the surface. These are all things that has to get done with an airline. You can't just put that bolt in there, put all those particles, because what's going to happen is it's going to restrict, it's going to give you a false torque reading. I'm using my socks. Now we have to do the same thing to the lower manifold surface. And these gaskets here, I like to reuse these shim. These are metal gaskets. What I do is I just dab it with a little sealant on both sides, sit it back in there, and bolt it back together. The sealant is going to seal it for you. It's going to seal all the joints. You can use the one from the aftermarket, which is a paper, but that is going to rotten later on. It could crack also and give you a leak on the manifold. So a leak on this manifold using this gasket, what we had is a coolant leak. So we're not fixing an air leak here. We're fixing a coolant leak. Now when you're going to do this part here, putting this back together, you want to test fit first. Make sure you have the correct gasket, shim gasket for the correct side. Okay. So it's time for us to place the manifold back in location. To install this front, the elbow. This is our Teflon paste. This is what I like to use for sealing these gaskets against the intake port. You have other that you can use, but this is like, you have to be very delicate in dealing with these stuff. And at the same time, you have to be quick. It's a lot of skills you need to be in this. A lot of skills. So we want to take this out of here. All these papers. See how that one's wet? It's coolant on the valve. So I can try to saturate that out of there. We don't want that coolant sitting on the valve seat. It'll put us in problems. That's why I'm in a rush to get this thing back together. If coolant is to sit in that valve seat for a long time or extended period, it's going to cause some corrosion in there. And when you start the engine, you have a misfire. Now, this came from this side. Ooh, it's still fresh from the last time. They just want to go like this. Don't want to put too much because when it's clamped down, it's going to ooze into the port, create a little restriction. So this is very important that you get this right, because coolant could leak from here into the intake port, get into the engine, hydrolock the engine, damage it. Right now it's about 90 degrees. The silicone might dry in about a half hour, maybe less. So you gotta have all this together by the time the silicone dry. If you let the silicone dry, this stuff is not bolted together, good luck. Chances are, it may not seal. So you wanna get it quick. It's better to have more than less, because if you have more, that's security. If you have less, you have to take it apart again. When you get that into position, you just want to push it down so the sealer is sticking it to the cylinder head, to its mating surface. This is going to ensure you that the gasket will remain sealed when you place the intake manifold there. Okay, let's get the intake manifold quick and doctor it. Now you see what I'm doing here is dangerous. You know why it's dangerous? Because things could fall in the engine, parts could hit each other and break. So what I want to do is place this clamp on. So I want to bring it above where it's going to seat, not too high, because you don't have much of a room to play with here. So I want to seat it like right there. Then I need to take the Teflon sealer, apply it on the inside, the hose, so when it goes on the spout, it will be perfectly sealed. Don't get any corrosion in the future when we disassemble. The factory don't do all of this, or your vehicle will last a lot longer. Okay. Now, we get the same silicone, and I just want to So there's another tool for doing this too. And there's also a funnel tip that you can screw on where the cap goes for making the silicone application nice and smooth. So you see, right now I'm looking at the views on the video. You know how many views I have? 0. You know what that tells me? Mega, make America great is a lie. Because what is going to be required of them to make that country great, or any country great, is work like this. And if they're not interested in it, you know what's going to happen to them? They're going to be screwing themselves making insurance for hundreds of thousands of years. Like the animals in the jungle, and achieve nothing. So let's place this on. Now that we got both sides, all the sides, cool sealant. You see when you're placing this down, all these harness, these things are going to touch against. So the goal here is to drop this rubber hose in front onto the spout and try to sit the manifold and the 4 studs. So you gotta look out for this clamp here. here. See how it jams up right there? So just have to get them back a little. Maybe check your hose down here. And make sure this hose is seated properly. So that looks good. I'm just gonna bring that clamp back down, place it down here. So this is great. Now what I want to do is I want to take my Teflon paste and place some of it on the treads of the stud, because this got to get clamped down right now. So the two mating surface, the silicone could cure between the two mating surface. Now, the reason I'm using this Teflon paste is, like I said before, to prevent moisture from creeping down on the treads of the fasteners so they don't corrode next time. Okay, I like to paint the fasteners when I finish cleaning them up. So what I've done is I've placed a washer on the top of this, which is not necessary. So I want to get this tightened right now. I want to tighten those bolts so that manifold could go like this. And then it could cure the silicone and we can complete it. Okay, now we're safe until the engine is started. That will be verified. When you're bolting this manifold together, you want to look like down here. You see that? That's just one area. You're going to see a little silicone oozing out on both sides. You want to make sure the surface is made sealed. Now we can leave that, or we could continue with the rest of the bolts by putting Teflon paste on it. Now we have these bolts to be installed. Two in the front right here. There's nothing in the middle. And two in the rear right there. Those two last bolt holes. And again, you have to be careful with this right here. I've broken this before. See this here? I had to solder it. So I figure the best thing would be, instead of using that little stick, I should learn from now, is just stick this bolt in there, right? How cool is that? I'm just messing around with that little stick. These bolts are gonna need washers, so I'm just setting them up right now. Like this, you see. Nice scoop of ice cream. Okay, let's go get the washers. Definitely need washers. These are the washers that I was using on the nut that get used right here. So you might be asking yourself by now, what does it cost to do something like this? How much does it cost? You'll have to check the factory book, but most price like this will cost approximately $1,500 to $2,000. That's parts, labor, time. So those bolts, these bolts are showing it's too long. That's because we have four that has to go with those bolts. So I don't think I'm going to be using the washer. It's very important that you remember where your fasteners go. If you don't, do what I'm doing right now. Get a camera, have it watch you. If you can't remember, replay the video, and you'll look like a genius. I wonder where all my subscribers are. YouTube said there was over 8,000 subscribers in my channel, and there's no viewers. Where are they? I don't know. YouTube is a fraud. I'm just doing this for the fun. That computer is a scam artist. How do you have 8,000 subscribers and only one view? Thank you for your viewership. Something's not right in computer land. Algorithm. What's going on, Miss Alga? You little whore. Computer can't fool me, dude. That's for them soldier boys that runs in the field and get themselves killed. That's for them. Stupid. Join the army. Why don't you join this army? Work. Kill the people. You got children coming down the pipe. When you were a child, it was a guy like me doing for you. Now you are a grown man. You don't want to do anything for anybody. Right? That's all right. You're going to get your face crack open. Think it's all good in this life? This is good. And this for the girls. Okay, now I gotta go and check the factory specified torque for those bolts and come back with the torque wrench and torque them to factory specification. What's important is we have all the bolts tightened, holding the manifold, its gasket, and the sealer. So we can take a break now and continue this video tomorrow because we're not getting any views. So it don't make any sense. Carry on talking to my sweet old self. It's better to talk to yourself than talk to people. Because most of the time, talking to people, they tell you talk shit. So why don't you just talk the shit to yourself? You know? You don't need people. You need food, sleep, and shit. Have a great day today. Have a trumping day. You know what trumping day mean? Make dollars. Make money. It's all your problems. Try it. Have a nice day. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for viewing. No hard feelings. Don't let words hurt you if you're doing this kind of work. Later.